Professor Kinnari Pandya is a faculty member at the Premji University here in Bangalore. Her work with the Premji Foundation since 2006 has been around early childhood education and teacher education towards a public system reform. She teaches in the undergraduate and postgraduate programs at the Premji University.
I think this is an important topic, very relevant in today's context. Technology is all around us, right? It's all around children. They are hearing things, seeing things. They are seeing their environment continuously looking into phones, into tablets, right? So technology is all around children. The question, what is it that technology will do? Right? What is the role of technology? How can we provide opportunity such that it contributes to holistic development of children is something very critical and of relevance in today's context. So when we talk of holistic development of children, we talk about development across all domains of development. We talk about language development, socio-emotional development, cognitive development, creative and aesthetics development, moral development, ethical development. Now, in all these areas, how can technology play a role in development of all these domains, right? Here we are clear that technology can perhaps help in language development. It can help in cognitive development, right? There are lots of games, puzzles, interactive media, right? Listening to audio recorded read aloud stories, right? Listening to different languages, songs in different languages, stories in different languages. So there is a lot of rich digital media, digital resources that are available for children. How can we use this in a manner such that it is useful to children and not that children get addicted to it, their passive engagement, long hours of screen time, right? That all is likely to lead to negative social development, negative, it is likely to hinder children's development. So how can we balance this and use technology to help in holistic development is the question. And so technology cannot replace the teacher, it cannot replace the active classroom engagement. It can help, and it can help to a certain extent, and it is important that we use technology in a productive, creative manner, so that children are not deprived of technology, but children learn from technology. So I think technology is not the only way in which early childhood education can become accessible to children. It is one of the ways, right? And does technology have a role in making early childhood education accessible? Yes and no, right? Because if teachers know the use of technology, if parents are aware of the use of technology and good use of technology, right, correct use of technology, then yes, there are, like we discussed, there is language exposure, cognitive exposure that is possible, right? Puzzles, stories, games, interactive, stimulating, audiovisual material. So there is a lot that technology can offer, and to that extent, children will be enabled by use of technology. But is it the only way in which early childhood education will become available? Perhaps not. Teachers' environment, working with other children in active classroom engagement are all necessary for a good early years program. So technology has some role to play. It's not the only thing that will enable children to learn. Technology or any early childhood content, right, when it is age appropriate. That's an underlying principle for a good early childhood program. So age appropriate technology exposure. Are children watching adult content, right? Serials and YouTube videos that are meant for adults, or are they engaging with stories that are in different languages, right? How is it that technology is used in age appropriate manner is something which is important, which parents and caregivers must remember when they expose children to technology. Technology, like we discussed, again is early years and the exposure to different languages, right? Children who come from Indian languages, children who need to be exposed to English language, children who are highly exposed to English language but need exposure to other languages. So audio visual material, listening to songs, listening to stories in different languages is again something which is necessary, and technology can play a good role. So parents must choose content which will help children in listening to a variety of language, sounds, songs, right? Technology and assistive technology, right, for children who are who need special inputs, that can be a useful resource again, right? Repeating of the same thing again, moving at a slower pace, the kind of diction that is used for children to understand and follow. So again, that is important for children, and different children learn at different paces. So technology, like we've heard many parents during the online pandemic classes, that only in-class engagement was limiting for their children. So when technology came into active practice, these children benefited from that engagement, right? So different children will learn differently, and technology can play a role in that. It has to be an enjoyable experience, right? Why do children like to sit in front of a TV or an animation video, right? It is engaging, it is colorful, it is bright, right? Now, how much of technology and screen time, right? It is recommended that children below 5 years should not have more than 2 hours of engagement, right? Actually, children across age groups should not have more than 2 hours of screen time. Now, what are we saying as screen time? Are we saying just looking at the mobile phone and playing games, or are we saying are they watching TV, right? Television. So what is it that children are engaged in for those 2 hours becomes critical. And today 2 hours doesn't seem like any, there is no bar on the amount of time that children are engaged in screen. So how can parents have norms, agreements with their children in a dialogic manner, and at least for older children. Children 3 years old well understand that you can only have half an hour of screen time, right? 5-year-olds again can understand, 8-year-olds can again understand. So it is important how parents engage in this limiting of screen time, so that it is not detrimental, they don't become passive in engaging, but it is active stimulation that the brain needs and that technology is able to provide. In fact, the National Curriculum Framework and the Foundation Stage document has very clear guidelines on what kind of technology should be available to children. How can early childhood educators use technology in a responsible manner, right? So I would recommend that you go through the section on digital content and technology usage for early childhood educators in the curriculum framework. As much as parents and caregivers, early childhood educators have an important role to play in how they choose material that they are exposing young children to. There are, you see different kinds of preschools where there is active use of technology, audiovisual material. There are preschools which just make children sit in front of televisions and say, this is your story time, right? And they leave the story and animation video going. Now, how can we balance this as early childhood educators? To choose the right kind of context. If you're doing a read aloud, can you do a read aloud? Then can you show some visual pictures, right? If you're choosing audio video story material, right? Websites like Storyweavers have good content which is well narrated and children can listen to it, understand the question, repeat it, and again engage? Can there be interesting kinds of puzzles, right, or interactive smart boards used to say, talk about animals or birds that children don't see around them, right, but use interactive smart boards to present and project those, so that children get a sense of what you're talking about when you say it's a penguin or a cheetah or a leopard. What are the differences? Can it be used to show good pictures, good material to children? So early childhood educators will have to carefully select content that they use in their classroom. Digital resources are a good resource, but they will have to spend time on what material are they using. And like I said, a lot of cognitive material, right? Spatial material like tangrams or quick memory games, that are very interesting. So you can actually have children in your class spend 5 minutes or get quick games that they get around to do every day. And can you increase the level of complexity there, right? So this is the kind of careful and selective use of technology may be useful where early childhood educators struggle in their environment to find the right kind of resources. Can curriculum developers, can people working on the grassroots select this material, create such material and provide it to early childhood educators? Perhaps that will be a good use to them. I feel that parents have the most critical role to play in what children are doing in digital media, what they are listening, what they are watching, what they are reading. I feel we as parents will need to, all technology devices today have access, right? All websites have access. So can we make sure that we have websites, we select websites that are or apps that are relevant for children, right? We make sure that our children's identities, photographs, etc. are not publicly available to be misused, right? Can we make sure that we are aware of what our children are watching? Can we select material? Can we select gaming apps, right? Can we have a dedicated time of the day when children use it for a limited time, right? Be it 30 minutes to maximum 2 hours is what is recommended. And today's screens are there everywhere. It's not just TV time for half an hour or 2 hours, right? It is screen time, which means your phones, your tablets, your television, right? Whatever digital devices are there around you. So how can we control time through all of these through the day? I feel we need to be cognizant on how we model our usage. Are we using our devices and not listening to children when they are talking to us? Are we paying attention to what they are telling? Are we making time to play with children, right? Are we making time to tell stories to children? Are we making time to talk about their school life with children? So how is it that we spend time will determine what kind of time that children spend on the digital media. Safe access, like I mentioned, are we choosing websites which have ethical considerations for children? Are we choosing websites which is content relevant for our children? Are we choosing apps and gaming tools which are not directing children to different content? It is controlled in its use. Are we recommending children or exposing them to interesting sites, interesting tools that are there, right? Be it story sites or Storyviewer is a big online presence. Can we leverage on that, right? There are other interesting tools, spatial cognitive tools. There are language games and tools available. So are we able to choose, and then are we able to manage time? I think those two key things will be necessary for parents to provide good exposure to digital content that is all around children today. childhood education material being available to frontline workers, right? Our Anganwadi workers try hard, right? They are having a schedule, telling stories, singing songs, right? Having learning corners. They use their phones to show something interesting to children. Now, how can we resource Anganwadi workers with what content to show? Again, if there is a curriculum that is available to Anganwadi worker in terms of material, in terms of toys, in terms of flashcards, can there be supporting digital material that is there, right? Or supporting videos and rhymes and songs that are there? Similarly, can there be a repository of material that they can use with stories go with the content? Can that be made available to children? Anganwadi workers all of us now know, access to technology is not a difficult thing. What is perhaps necessary is what to use that technology for. And that I think needs to be at a massive scale, where correct, appropriate content is available to Anganwadi workers and any early childhood educators and even parents for what to show to children. I think at that level there needs to be training, there needs to be work with exposure to, say, the supervisors and CDPOs who can work with Anganwadi workers to say, yes, here is a website where all material of the state level curriculum is available. Here is a website repository where lot of Hindi material is available. Here is a website and material where lot of Kannada literature and material is available. So can that be available to children? And the public system, the government can play a huge role in making these contextual learning material available to children. Not otherwise we will have rhymes from across the world here, but not local folk songs and folk rhymes, right? So how is it that we can provide this material content? I think the government can play a big role in creating good digital material for Anganwadi workers. Capacity building, like I said, may or may not be needed. It's more how do you use it, when do you use it, is the kind of capacity development that's needed, not in the use of it, really. Very important and pertinent question, right? I must say that nobody is a perfect parent. We all think that we should become perfect parents, but none of us are. What can we do to make sure that children's exposure to content, digital content, is appropriate, is age appropriate? I think is extremely important to keep in mind as parents. How can we do that? I think it's important if parents get exposed to what is significance of early years, right? How do we make children holistically developed, right? Like we mentioned, talking to children, nothing can replace one-on-one conversations with children. Are we doing that enough, right? Nothing can replace real books. Are we doing that enough? Are we reading aloud to our children, right? Similarly, playing with blocks, playing with paint, playing with colors. Even if you have online tools that make them color and paint, nothing like the tactile and experience that children will have working with colors, right? So as parents, are we mindful that our children are doing 90% of all first-hand exposure, right? First-hand experiences, playing with objects, real objects, playing with reading books, listening to songs. Are we singing with children? Are we dancing with children, right? Are we doing all of that? And then if there is a 10% time, half an hour a day, 1 hour a day that children are using for watching something interesting or doing some interesting, again, games that you have identified are relevant for children. Not games which will say get more points and you proceed, right? It again develops a wrong competitive spirit in children. So how is it that we can correctly sieve what content children are accessing? Can we monitor that time? that children are spending? Can we talk with children about what they are viewing and seeing, right? Is it in our presence, or are children doing it in a closed door and room where you don't know what they're doing, right? So can we engage with children actively on what they are reading or listening or watching on digital media? I think that's the most important thing that we can do as parents today in today's context, and make sure that they are spending enough and adequate time in first-hand experiences. I think that would be my message to all parents, that it's not about controlling technology, it's about how can we manage digital use, right? And the amount of time that children are spending online on various digital resources. So you're very right that engaging children, say going to the parks with them, playing with them, talking about what they did at school, right, will certainly control excessive digital engagement. That's no two ways about it. You have to talk to children, you have to be available to children yourself, right? And then children will become more active. They don't like technology. I would think children like to do it because it's available, it's easy. They get a lot of stimulation from it, right? Their digital tools are self-stimulating, so they get that stimulation. But if we as adults provide more richer and engaging experiences to children, I don't think they will go and resort to technology, right? I also feel that as parents, we will need to be mindful of how are our children engaging in, or how are we as adults and curriculum developers as well engaging in ethical behaviors, right? Ethical considerations for working on technology. What is the kind of, some sites require login and we put some age for the child there, whereas the child is 3 years old and you put a 12-year-old as a child's age. So the content that technology will make available, to children will again be not relevant. So how do we manage this age appropriateness of digital access is necessary, and we should be mindful of that as parents. All of us who are working in the field of early childhood education, especially organizations like Prajayatna, have a big role to play in what kind of parent awareness are we able to create on the ground, right? Today, to talk about importance of early childhood education, importance of brain development, early brain development, right? Importance of multiple language exposures to children. All of that, there are very interesting digital material available, right? Videos available, resources available. Can we work with parents by sending them tips of what they should do, right? Through COVID, many organizations have created short home-based tasks and videos, right? Can we create some of those so that parents are not just engaging in activities because they need to, but because they value it. They know the meaning of why they should engage in an activity with children. So this kind of active awareness generation of parents will be necessary for organizations who work at the grassroots level. Technology is all engaging, right? All of us like to see something interesting. So can we have that kind of material for parents? I think that it also will play a good role in home and school connect. So for instance, if the Anganwadi worker is doing something in her center, if she sends some of the photographs or what she's done back to parents will know what they have done in class, and then they can talk about it, right? Talking to children is very essential in the first 6 years of life, and children will be able to recollect their experiences, share about their experiences. We often hear that parents don't have time for children, but also parents don't know what children are doing in their schools, right? So if we can bring this home-school connect through technology, that will again be a useful thing to do in our day-to-day programs and day-to-day early childhood programs. I think a lot of lot of Anganwadi workers trainings or early childhood educators trainings. Now there are several programs of professional development, right, which organizations like NCRT have launched. There are several diploma programs, for instance, the kind of programs that we run here at Premji University. So there are these technology-aided blended programs, right? And if organizations can actively use this for their Anganwadi workers, use such platforms for them to learn, have short videos, short assignments, right? That again will enrich their professional development and therefore enrich their practice as early childhood educators. So technology does have potential, I would think, has potential to have access for understanding early childhood education at the adult level, for sure, right? Anganwadi workers have a lot to gain, early childhood educators have a lot to gain by knowing and understanding early childhood education. For children, it has limited role. Children are our, of this century, need to know and use digital material, but can we be playing a more responsible and more active role in the kind of content that is available to children? I think that is very essential. So I think my only message, so to say, a message on the occasion of Children's Day is that how can we preserve childhood, and childhood which is fun-loving, childhood which is active, childhood which is engaging, right? Technology can make us passive and make children passive. So can we play an active role in us not becoming passive with children? Can we talk to them, be with them, work with them in activities, and be responsible in the kind of usage that we do on technology and media devices? And can we also select material that our children are using more responsibly? I think that will be my message, that how can we preserve childhood and how can we balance the use of technology that's available all around us.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the insightful discussion. It was wonderful listening to you and understanding the topic from a deeper perspective. So on behalf of Prajayatna, I extend a hearty note of thanks to you and for taking time out from your schedule to be with us today and sharing your valuable thoughts with us. Your thoughts will surely guide us and inspire us in all our future work that we are doing on the ground. Thank you so much.